I regret buying this guitar. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So, why do I regret buying this guitar? Well, I will explain that, but you're going to have to wait till the end of the video to find out. Sorry. Guys, before we get into more detail about the guitar and talk about what it is, if you are enjoying the video and you like the content on the channel, I'm trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button, help me out. If you're already subscribed, share the video, like the video, all that stuff. Anything you can do to help me out, really appreciate it. Alright, on we go. Cheers. So what is this guitar then? Well, this is a Sterling Mariposa, and it is the signature model for At the Drive-In and the Mars Volta guitarist, producer, songwriter extraordinaire, Omar Rodriguez-Lopez. So spec-wise, we have an offset design, an Ayato body, which is similar to mahogany or a species of mahogany. It's in Dorato green, is a poly finish. It's got a vintage style Sterling branded tremolo, a really cool roasted maple neck and rosewood fretboard. We've got block inlays, 22 frets, 12-inch fretboard radius and a 25.5-inch scale length. We also have some non-branded locking tuners with these really cool pearlescent heads. It's got a dual action truss rod with a spoke wheel adjustment down here in the heel for really easy access. And we've got two artist designed pickups with individual volume controls and a 3-way selector. Well, we'll do some quick sound demos and then I'll check back in with you to let you know what I think about this guitar and why I regret buying it. my thoughts on this guitar then. I really love this guitar. I bonded with this really quickly. Honestly, I pulled it out of the box, and at first I was a bit kind of unsure, but as I've played it over the last couple of days, I've really fallen in love with it. It helps a lot that I'm a massive Omar Rodriguez-Lopez fan. All his projects, Mars Volta in particular, at the drive-in as well. And I'm also a Frusciante fan. There's a lot of crossover there. Frusciante played on a lot of the Mars Volta albums and what have you. So I was already kind of, predisposed to liking this guitar, I guess. I was actually just in Anderton's over the weekend, and me and my wife just kind of spotted this on the wall. I've seen them before, I've been interested in them before, but I've always been a bit kind of wary of buying something that's a bit different to what I'm used to. And, we just both agreed that it's a really cool looking guitar. It's something a bit different and something a bit, special compared to the kind of Fenders and everything that you see everywhere. And really the Fenders and Gibson style guitars that I typically buy all the time and play. So I picked it up and had a bit of a go on it. I didn't properly kind of try it out, plugged in or anything like that. It was pretty manic in the shop. But I got, a good idea of what it felt like, and I was pretty sure that I would like it if I went ahead and got one. It was sort of a bit of a spur of the moment thing, but over the course of a couple of days. So one of the best parts about this guitar is undoubtedly the neck and the way it feels. Now, none of the specs really clarify from what I've seen whether it is unfinished or whether it's satin. It feels probably more like it's a satin finish, but it feels just amazing to play, right? As I said, it's roasted maple, so it's got that kind of caramelized look. It looks really nice. The majority of the back of the neck is that satin finish until you get up to the headstock, and then it is gloss on the entire back and front of the headstock. I didn't mention in specs, but we've got a matching headstock as well, which is something I'm a big fan of. The frets, once polished, were really good. They did need that polish when they came out the box. They were a little bit tarnished, but the actual fretwork is really, really good. I wouldn't go as far as to say it was excellent, because there is a bit more that could be done, like rounding off the edges and what have you, but the actual fretwork, there's no uneven frets. They're crowned really well. There's no sharp ends or anything like that. This guitar is about £500 cheaper than my Tom DeLonge signature Strat, and the fretwork is far, far superior on this guitar. The overall offset shape, while it's pretty unusual to look at, right? It does have a very unusual body shape. It's very similar to the Albert Lee in a lot of ways, but it's kind of a bit blockier and some slightly different kind of curves and what have you. But it's actually really, really comfortable to play. Like, it sits on your lap really well. Everything just gets out of the way. The body's a little bit smaller, so it's not this huge offset body, which is something I find with like Jaguars and Jazzmasters. The body's just really big, and that offset shape makes it kind of uncomfortable to play, particularly sitting down. This, don't have any of that. Really, really comfortable to play. That combined with the amazing neck feel, it's just a really brilliant, comfortable guitar to play. It sounds really great. Hopefully that came across in the demos and you got a good idea of what this guitar sounds like. But I just think that there's quite a lot of clarity in those humbuckers. Often humbuckers can be quite dark. I think the combination of it being a maple bolt-on neck and humbuckers helps with that quite a lot. You don't get the kind of muddiness that you can get with a set neck guitar at this kind of price point. So they just sound really balanced, I think, really articulate. Enough high end in them without them being kind of brittle and hurting your ears. Overall, really impressed with the pickups. I've touched on this already, but it's a really unique design, albeit maybe a tad, derivative of some of Music Man's other designs. Generally, I don't think you see anything on the market that looks quite like this. Like I say, I was really drawn to it in the shop the other day. I really like the way it looks. I've had some people say they don't like the way it looks. I don't care what they think. I really like it. So I've been raving about it so far, but it isn't all good. There are some issues to talk about. So out of the box, I did mention the frets. They definitely needed to polish. I think that's somewhat forgivable at this price point. You see it a lot on all of the other guitars in this kind of price range. Sometimes they just need a bit of a polish when you get them out of the box. The pickguard was really warped, or at least it looked like it was really warped. I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to see on the camera there. It's not too bad now. What actually had happened was one of the wires wasn't in the cavity that runs under here. So there is a cavity up to the selector switch there. And one of the wires was sitting outside of that cavity, and the pickguard had been screwed down onto it. So when I got it out of the box, it looked like it was bowing massively. Thankfully, it seems to have pretty much settled back down. A very slight gap there, but really not something that I'm too worried about. The neck alignment, this is something that seems to have been plaguing guitars I've bought recently. My Fender Tom DeLonge signature, the neck was out of alignment when it arrived. I did adjust that, put a shim in it, managed to get it perfect. This had a similar problem, although probably not as bad out of the box, but I wasn't able to get it to align quite as well as I'd like to. It's perfectly playable. I think most people probably wouldn't even look at it and note that the alignment looked out. But you know, out of the box experience on that front, not great, but thankfully I've got enough experience with guitars so that I can fix that kind of thing. It does have a kind of fine little scratch in the neck here. You really can't feel it, but you can just about see it in the right light. Again, these things happen with these guitars. You know, I think it's a bit wasteful to send a guitar back based on a little mark like that. If it was a massive gouge, I think we'd be having a different discussion. But it's a tiny little scratch that you can barely see, and you know, it is an issue that's there. We should call it out, right? The final kind of disappointing thing is the finish. Overall, the finish is really, really good, but there's a couple of spots where there's some dirt or something just trapped under the lacquer. Like there's one here. It's kind of a sort of a purpley bit of dirt or something. There's another one here that's less obvious. Is it a big deal? Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think at this price point, it's somewhat acceptable. I think that's probably annoy some people. Some people would be like, you know, everything's got to be perfect, but I think that's pretty wasteful. You know, if everybody sends back guitars with tiny little imperfections like that. Everything else about the guitar I like, I'm not going to send it back over that. Might get a little decal or something to cover it up. Additionally, this guitar at $799 doesn't come with any case at all. That's disappointing. I mean, at this point I've got so many cases that I don't really care, but I still think it should come with a case, right? At least a gig bag. I'm not expecting a hard case at this price point anymore. I think anything under $1,000 these days, good luck getting a hard case included. But a soft case would have been nice at this price point. I think some of the other guitars in the sterling range do come with a gig bag. So why this one doesn't, I don't know. Maybe it was just to keep the price down a little bit. Disappointing, but not the end of the world. So just to wrap up on my thoughts on this guitar then. Overall, I really bloody love it. I just think it's so different and unique, but still so familiar. It still feels like the kind of Fender guitars that I love and that I'm used to playing. You know, it's not a million miles away from a Strat or a Tele, but it's unique and different enough that it doesn't look really anything like them. It plays really well. It's pretty decent out of the box. Needed a little bit of work, a little bit of tidying up. Build quality overall is excellent. I'd go as far as to say that this is better than some of my more expensive guitars, including that Tom DeLonge Strat we talked about. That Strat cost £500 more than this guitar does, and honestly it had far more issues out of the box than this did. This just feels every bit as good as that guitar, if not better. All right. I teased it at the beginning and I've kept you waiting for long enough. Why do I regret buying this guitar? Well, there's two reasons. The first one is it's kind of spoiling some other guitars for me. Again, I'll come back to that price point. This is $799 and it's an excellent instrument for that amount of money. And when you compare it to some of the other guitars I've bought recently, my Tom DeLonge Strat, my Silverburst Les Paul, all considerably more money than this guitar, it's starting to make me feel a little bit more ripped off than I already felt with those guitars. It's just a really, really excellent guitar, and it's kind of making me give my other guitars the side eye every now and again. So reason number two is set me down a really dark and expensive path. Yeah, I really like this guitar. Really like this guitar, which makes me kind of think, Should I be getting the Music Man? If I like this version of it that much, should I be getting the absolute top end version of this guitar? Well, look, that's not going to happen anytime soon. That is an extremely expensive guitar. I think they're about 3.5, nearly 4K in the UK. So yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. But it's definitely something that's going to keep me awake at night. I'm going to be thinking about it for months. And yeah, it's probably not going to happen. But hey, Music Man, if you're watching and you want to send me one, yeah? No? Not even maybe? Okay, I understand. Guys, jokes aside, it's a great guitar. If you're in the market for one, don't even think twice, in my opinion. Excellent value for money, excellent guitar, really happy with it. Well, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, thanks so much for watching and checking out this sterling Mariposa with me. If you did like the video, please do consider subscribing. I'm trying to get the channel to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So yeah, hit that subscribe button. If you want to check out any of my other videos, I'll link a couple over here. But yeah, thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.